CUST Corner, it's CUST Corner. CUST Corner, it's CUST Corner. He's got the hottest takes with the highest stakes. He should be president of the United States, but it's CUST Corner, it's CUST Corner. CUST Corner, hee 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 hee.
I don't think that's the name of the show, or some people.
When you search it and you try to find CUST Corner and you type in CUST Corner, do you know what pops up? This show.
Well, not this exact show, but...
I mean, it would.
It will,
Yes,
yeah.
it will. Well, once it's out, it will, yes.
Okay.
That's how the internet works.
Yeah, I know how the internet works.
Do you? Because you just figured out how to use the GIF function on Twitter.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's been out for like 2 years.
I mean, Twitter is bad, and the internet is bad, but every now and then there are these fun things you can play with that makes the badness a little less bad.
But if not for Twitter, where would you bring the funny?
In person.
So people just fly out to Halifax to have you
Yeah,
give them the funny.
Yeah, well, people used to go to Vegas to see Don Rickles. It's much different.
All right, if you don't know the cast, it is Garion Thorne of The Rotation. You can follow him on Twitter, at Garion Thorne, of course. The star of the show, it is his corner. He is Tim Andercust.
Tim Andercust.
But I do like to think of this show as like community service. Some people do their community service by, go to a soup kitchen. Other people like Gary and do it based on court order. I do mine through this show.
What do you assume I've been arrested for?
Everything.
Everything.
What have you been arrested for?
Nothing.
Yeah, this is his public
Oh,
service
oh,
that he
just-
does out of the goodness
This
of
is
his
my
own
public-
heart.
Exactly. I do the community service out of the goodness of my own heart. Gary does it because the court makes him.
I see.
So
Tim
that's public
I
indecency.
got charged with being a millennial in public.
Oh, no. So watch out, Tim. You're next.
Yeah, well, as I would plead not guilty and defend myself in court.
Yeah, but then what are you going to have, a fake birth certificate like Barack Obama?
Again, I never claimed that.
But you're going to need one because you're going to see the birth certificate and say, it just says millennial on it. Not even a date of birth. He's just in a specific age range. Now,
Yeah.
if you don't have it and people talk to you, they might assume you're 107 years old. A modern-day Methuselah, even.
I get that all the time. People are surprised at how young I am.
Methuselah
Vibrant.
rookie card.
All right, Tim, you are on the clock. What is the first thing that is bothering you this week?
Well, I will talk about this first, but then there's something that's been really bothering me that came up recently. But I've said the first thing I want to talk about, something that's been infuriating me, is something that the National Basketball Association is doing, which is putting on those stupid advertisements on jerseys. This is such a terrible, terrible idea. It is the thin end of the wedge. It will not be long until basketball teams look like European soccer teams, and you won't know who's playing, because on the middle of their jersey will just be a big Chevrolet logo or Ford logo or Apple logo, and there might be a little tiny Warriors symbol in the left-hand corner and then a big apple in the middle. This is everything. There's something to be said about the way North American sports don't sully up their uniforms in professional sports with stupid advertisements. And this is a cash grab that isn't necessary. The NBA is doing pretty good financially. The teams are all doing very well. The Houston Rockets, which is a middle-of-the-road team, that unless you remember Yao Ming, no one really cares about the Houston Rockets. People say they're going to sell for $2 billion. The NBA is flush with cash. The idea that they need to put advertisements on jerseys, which look hideous and are just a spectacle, is disgusting. And as a sports fan, as a North American sports fan, we should stand up and object to this, because it will not stop here. It'll keep going and going and going.
So you don't like when businesses try to make more money, Tim? Is that what you're saying?
There's
You
nothing-
communist?
There are lots. They already have the court sponsored, and they have the arena sponsored, and the backboard sponsored, and advertisements all around the arena and in the arena, and advertisements on the sidelines. Can't we just leave the jerseys alone?
No, because
We have to sully
this is a
everything?
spot where they can actually make the most money with the ad revenue,
No,
because you sell the jerseys that have the ads on them, and then you change your sponsor 2 years later, then you need to sell more jerseys, and people will buy them all over again. It's
This
perfect.
is all stupid.
And who cares about
Charge to
NBA
defend-
jerseys? Out of all the jerseys, are the one that no one cares about.
But I agree, but it starts a trend, right? This is it's a creeping barrage. Once it comes in here, then it'll go to hockey or to football.
Who
And next
cares?
thing you know,
Why
the
does that bother
goalposts
you so
will have
much?
Coca-Cola logos on them, and because it looks god awful.
Well, what if every team was just sponsored by Chili's and Subway?
Chili's is a fine establishment. I still don't want that. Like, you go watch junior hockey games if you're ever flicking through TV or in Europe, and like the face-off circles are filled with advertisements, and the goalposts have advertisements on them, and the players have those stickers on their helmets that have advertisements on them. You don't even know who's playing
Spengler
half
Cup.
the time. Well, that's it. Like, you don't even know who's playing or what's going on. It's just a bunch of people out there in NASCAR jumpsuits. It cannot be justified in professional sports where it is supposed to be about the sport. It's not about you just pimping yourself out to Coca-Cola or to Pfizer or whomever. It has to be stopped. It has to be prevented. And I would implore fans to keep pushing back. And this happened a couple of years ago. The NBA was going to introduce this, and there was such massive pushback from the fans that they backed off. And the fans need to do this exact same thing again to push back against this terrible, pernicious attack on sports.
Well, it's not about the sport. It's about business. This isn't the Olympics.
I'm aware of that.
Are you? Because it seems like you're not aware of that.
These guys, the Olympics make a lot more money than these guys, and there's no advertisements on any of the billboards or any of the players there.
Did the Olympics actually make money? Or is it just that one guy that takes all...
The country loses money that hosts it.
And Sepp Blatter takes all the rest of the money.
Sepp Blatter is FIFA, first and foremost.
Well, who's the other guy?
There's a lot of guys at the IOC.
Something Pound?
Dick Pound?
Used to be, he used
Great
to be on
name.
the IOC.
Solid name for Dick Pound. Well, Garion, what do you think about this? Because I don't care either way.
I would say that in a very general surface sense, I would prefer the jerseys to not have logos on them. But at the same time, I mean, Tim kind of contradicted himself in the same sentence as saying that North American sports don't do this, then saying this happens in NASCAR, which is the 5th biggest North American sport. So,
and what's golf? And what's golf? Golf is just a series of ads.
I mean,
yeah, but there are limits.
Fair, but like, look, maybe it's because I grew up actually kind of liking NASCAR, and it was just so attributed to the driver, more so than even the number was the sponsorship they had. I mean, Rusty Wallace drove the Miller Lite car. You just knew that. That's just something that happened. Sterling Martin drove the Coors Light car.
Did you also grow up being attracted to your cousin?
Didn't have any female cousins.
Oh,
which probably one of the reasons my dad allowed me to get a NASCAR.
Ah, I see.
You gotta make sure there's no les cousins dangereux situation.
Well, Tim also used to love NASCAR.
But
I didn't love it, but I used to watch it. Yes, but again, that's all part and parcel of that sport since the beginning has been the advertisement. So, in some sense, I take your point, but that's sort of like baked into the culture of auto racing in a way that it just
this will be grandfathered into NBA and NFL and MLB too. It won't happen when you're here, but in 50 years from now, it'll just seem like normal.
Yes,
I mean, I hope I'm here in 50 years.
I don't know.
Yeah.
You're already 107. I don't know. Again, I would be with you in the sense that I would rather not see this, and I'm also kind of surprised. I don't know how it's worked for each team, but I know the Raptors specifically signed with Sun Life. And it was only $5 million for 2 years. I would assume it'd be a lot more money than that, but I mean...
Well, it's a trial right now.
Sure, it is a trial, but I would say that maybe in the sense that if everyone's against this and really a team's only making an extra $2.5 million a season from it, not to say that I would scoff at $2.5 million, but I feel like Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment doesn't need an extra $2.5 million.
No,
maybe sullying the sport in that way for such a little amount of money. But if this grows and grows and grows... I mean, if we're talking tens of millions, how do they not do this?
Manchester United jersey with the big AIG in like .85 font in the middle of their jersey. That's god awful, and no one could say that that's nice.
Yeah, but no one cares. Soccer fans don't care. When you're in Toronto and you have the big BMO thing on the cross of the TFC, people still buy TFC jerseys. Yeah, maybe to you, no one else seems to care.
I think they care, but they just put up with it because what can you do about it? But it doesn't mean that there's not something like wrong about it and ugly about it. And no, it ought to be prevented.
I don't think so. I don't see why you're standing in the way of people making money. Why don't you get your regulations out of here?
They make enough money to make you want to be a Bolshevik, for God's sakes. They make so much money. It's not a question of them, like, this is not them making their budget. This is not making ends meet. That'd be one thing. If a sport is struggling, okay, I guess I can understand you trying to becoming innovative to try to make money. But the NBA is printing money. They don't need this. No team needs this. So I just think it's just pure greed that will have unintended consequences that will just sully sports uniforms going forward, and I think it must be objected to.
Well, you said it's all about the sport for you, and this in no way changes the sport.
That's not true.
It is absolutely true. They're still going to play basketball. It's going to have the ball.
It doesn't.
It's going to have the
look
players.
same.
They're going to be on the court, and they're going to do their slam dunks.
Yeah, the aesthetics will be changed though, and then these are not good changes.
You're still upset there's a fucking 3-point line.
Yeah.
No, it shouldn't exist.
I mean, look, until it affects the actual gameplay itself, like, let's say that at some point 10 years from now, Major League Baseball decides that much like in the home run derby this year, like the bonus baseballs will be painted purple because of like T-Mobile or whatever, and the batters were like, yeah, it's really hard to see the rotation on a ball that's purple and white.
But
like,
you can watch the rotation every day on the Fantasy Sports Network.
You can.
Yeah, that's very good product placement going on here.
Like until that becomes an issue, it doesn't really matter. Now, will I say like last week when the Celtics tweeted out, "Oh, here's Gordon Hayward's Celtics jersey," and it had a little tiny logo on the front of the sleeve. Was it a little jarring to see? Sure, but in 2 years from now, I severely doubt I'll care.
I think they just get rid of the team names. Like, who cares about the Boston Celtics? You know, the Boston Subways is where you want to be, and you'll just know the teams by the name of the city.
That's the point. That's the point in which fans just check out.
You think fans would just stop with the sport if that was the case?
I think a lot of people would. Yeah, I think they would check out at that point.
Well, I think it's going to be a problem that keeps persisting, though, because as we've talked about in a more grandiose sense a lot on this show, every aspect of live TV is dying except for sports. So more and more advertisers are going to want to get money into sports because it's really the only thing that people have to watch with ads.
Yeah, and it's not like you can sponsor George Clooney at the Oscars. So, Cloontang's out. You got to go to the Celtics.
That man can't be bought.
No.
Moral compass.
You can just imagine, right, the Yankee pinstripes with, some New York company like Allianz or something like that. That would just be such a disgusting, sullying thing.
No, you just reverse it and slant them a little bit, and they're an Adidas logo.
Though, I mean, the baseball's already screwing things up by putting the logos on the pants to begin with. It looks awful.
I don't understand why this matters so much to you. It is.
This is definitely something.
But it's so insignificant in terms of actually watching the sport. You like baseball, you watch baseball because you like baseball. Who cares what they're wearing? They played in their skivvies. Who would care?
Process. These things are all part and parcel of the sport and of these sports.
I'm shocked that you continue to watch Major League Baseball every year that Cincinnati doesn't have the first game. It's so sullied right off the hop. I don't even know how you watch it anymore.
It's incredibly annoying, and I stand on the parapet screaming about how stupid interleague play is and all that stuff. But, what else can I do? I'm one man.
Again, I just think, Tim, at a certain point, it'll just become second nature. Like, I personally, and look, maybe 50 years ago, I'm sure people were real upset when they put advertisements on the Green Monster. But I can't even envision Fenway without the Who But W.B. Mason thing on the wall, the Sit-Go sign, and the Coke bottle up above, like the Monster.
Well, the Sit-Go sign is miles away from the stadium.
It doesn't matter, but it's an advertisement that I so heavily associate with Fenway, and if they took it away, I'd be like, they changed Fenway. Like, it just'll be grandfathered in. It's fine.
It's just all. I can see it coming, and I want it to yell stop. I want to prevent it.
Well, did the advertisements on the jerseys really turn you off from watching all those basketball teams? Because that's where it's going.
What if every single team had to be sponsored by the Hard Rock Cafe, and they all played in some sort of Hard Rock Park or Hard Rock Stadium?
You can imagine that's what the Dolphins would have on their logos.
Yeah, the Miami Hard Rock Cafes. They'd have the coolest team name in sports, Tim.
Listen, the sports would become unwatchable. European soccer is half the time unwatchable. You don't know who's playing. But
European soccer has the benefit of, because they stick the stupid logos on the jersey, they never go to commercial break. Now, that's part and parcel with the sport as well, but that's a really nice trade-off. Same with NASCAR. NASCAR you can watch through the commercial breaks on Fox. They go picture-in-picture during the commercial breaks because they make so much money off of advertising during the event itself, you don't have to watch commercials.
What's so wrong with commercials? Commercials are actually not a bad thing.
You're upset about advertisements!
Because a time and place for everything. Commercials, the commercials' appropriate places during the intermissions of live sports, not on the jerseys. I'm not opposed to commercial advertising. I'm just opposed to it on uniforms, which I think is a very reasonable concession.
But to go back and round about everything again, if you're all about the sport, why would you want to see a cutaway from the sport?
Well, because that's a part of the sport as well. It's been a part of the sport since the beginning that there have been timeouts and breaks. These things can't be avoided.
I mean, maybe they can.
Okay, but they do have to make some money.
They're making money by selling the ads on the jerseys.
They're not making, as Gary said, they're making pittance off of this.
Right
It's
now,
not worth it.
so it's a pilot project to see if it works, and if it does, they'll get rid of, like, for the Raptors, they'll get rid of, like, the dinosaur fella, or just Raptors across, and they'll have sun life and sun on it.
And everyone will be happy.
And then
everyone in the city hates
no one
Raptors.
will
and then Tim will be like, I think it's the Phoenix Suns. I don't know what's going on.
No one will like that.
No one's going to care
Maybe
besides
a lot of
you.
people will
You're
be
going to
angry,
sit there.
but no one will be happy about
Are
it.
you still upset that the color barrier got broken in baseball? Let's go back to how it used to be. There's too much color in baseball these days. I
That
can't
is
tell who's who on the field.
I can tell more so who's who, and it scares me and confuses me.
You are not giving the best representation of my argument here.
I don't know.
Again, I am with you in the sense that if I had the choice in a vacuum as to whether or not I would want this to happen, I would say
But do you
I do
care?
not want it to happen. But I won't care.
Will it make
You
you
won't
watch
care now.
one?
So baseball caps no longer have the team logo on it. They have a sports, or they have a company's logo on it instead. We'll see.
Okay, I think that's an extreme end of the spectrum that when we get
it?
to
How is
that,
it any different?
that would be
That's
something I'd
okay.
be more against. But look,
I don't care. Ooh, it's a hat. It
See?
blocks out the sun.
See,
whatever.
This is,
Make it
That's
this
what-
is-
well, Tim cares
this
about
is
fashion
the
and his
disease-
jaunty
This is the
chapeaus.
disease thinking, right?
Make-
The disease thinking of, it's just a hat. Like
It is just a
why even
hat.
have uniforms? It's not
As long as
just
they're all
a
the
hat.
same color, then they are uniforms. I am
This is
pro
coming from the
people
guy who
making
was
as
irate when the Blue
much
Jays-
money as possible. I don't know why you aren't. That's usually your stance on things.
I'm fine with people making money.
No,
but
you're not. You hate people
have
trying
to-
to make money, apparently.
I think
you
each
also have
player
to
should get
balance
to
it
go
off.
after his own sponsorships.
Oh, I like that.
And then the more successful players will be like decorated.
See, that'd be awesome.
And that'll really compel the worst players
To be better.
because they'll stand out so much.
See, I like
As being
that.
losers.
I like how that goes. It's like the medal system in the Army.
Yeah.
And the more decorated people have the more medals and the pins and the stars. LeBron would just be decked out in
Or
advertisements.
going back
'cause
to
he's the best.
NASCAR, if like some sort of toilet flusher is sponsoring your car, you obviously suck. If you don't have a beer or a cigarette, you're the worst.
Can they do cigarettes
Not
anymore?
No.
That's too bad.
But
It used to be the
it's like-
Winston Cup Series. That was
Well,
back in
it's
the
like
day.
back in golf when, Jim Furyk used to wear that 5-hour energy hat. in
What,
golf.
they're
That
all wearing
looked
Titleist
terrible.
hats anyway, though. Who cares?
He wasn't then. He was wearing with a big friggin' logo on the front that said 5-hour. It looks so stupid and so childish. I would be a fan of getting rid of the advertisements on golf clothes as well.
If they
Or
got rid of the
limiting it to
advertisements
one-
on golf clothes, none of the golfers would make any money.
Or limiting it to one sponsor. Like
Why?
Nike.
Why are you against people making money?
Who's that dude who only wears like sports gear of the city he's in?
Ben Curtis used to be sponsored by the NFL.
Oh, okay. And he
So
won the
he-
U.S. Open, right?
And he won the British Open like
British. Okay.
14 years ago.
Wearing Bears gear?
I think it was Bears gear.
Yeah.
Maybe they're the team of England. I don't know.
knows?
Who is the team of
Yeah.
England?
Jacksonville, I guess.
I actually think it's the Patriots.
Probably. I know the Dolphins apparently.
That
they're
would make a
most,
lot of
like-
sense.
Or
Think about it.
Or Tampa Bay. Because I think, is it Malcolm Glazer owns...
Yeah, but I think they hate him.
Oh, do they?
Yeah,
And
I
Sheffield
hate that an
United.
American
That's
bought
the
their
thing,
team.
though, right? I mean, part of what makes sports is the particular uniform that the competitors are wearing. And when you start monkeying with that, maybe you're making the sport better, maybe you're making it worse, but you're changing it.
You're
And
not
I'm
changing the
so
sport. The sport itself stays exactly the same. Changing the sport for the better would be something like, let's get rid of NBA overtime and instead have a dunk competition that people can vote on. That'd be way better.
Yeah. I don't
Or
think
no
anyone
extra
would watch
innings
that.
in baseball. Home run derby.
No one would watch that.
Oh, you kidding me?
People would be throwing their bodies in front of that to prevent that from happening.
No. People love dingers.
Not as much as you think they do. Not the people who are watching baseball during the regular season.
People, Garion, you cover baseball every single day. Do people love dingers?
People love dingers.
They love 100-mile-per-hour fastballs and real long dings.
It's true.
Ugh.
Remember when baseball
People
was its
are
most
awful.
popular? When
Everyone
was
was
on
on
steroids and
Yep.
hitting dings?
Yep.
You people are awful.
They're hitting more home runs this year, actually.
Well, it's Aaron Judge. He accounts for 80% of them, except for like the last 2 weeks. All right, Tim, what's next?
Let's see. I'm infuriated with the new Canada's food guide. I'm upset with the wind-up pitch going away in baseball. Then there were a couple other suggested comments from the fans that they've sent me on Twitter. What would you like to talk about?
All right, well, let's have a viewer's choice. What was your favorite one that you wanted to talk about?
So there were a couple of good ones here. One was, what's the better way to watch TV? Is it to binge watch a show or to watch it week by week when it comes on?
Let's go with that. Let's
Sure.
I like that one. And
So
I actually think I'm going to weigh in on this one first.
Go ahead.
I actually think this is dependent on the show.
Yeah.
I think that where TV has changed so much. And we're seeing this with Game of Thrones right now. Like, you went to a bar to go watch Game of Thrones. I had like 8 people over to watch the premiere of Game of Thrones. That is really the last show, at least right now. It's not to say that it's going to be the last show, but you talk about TV's really dying outside of live events and sports. That's where everything is going. Game of Thrones is like a communal experience.
Yeah.
So you watch it once a week, and that's a thing. And then everyone talks about it the next morning or right after on Twitter or whatever.
Speculates.
Yeah.
And a show like that, much like Lost, it needs to have a certain, I guess this is a dying concept too, but like the water cooler talk ability, where it's just like it needs to have elements where
it's fun to speculate.
You're
not know what's going
speculating
on.
and you're wondering and you're asking questions and you're conspiring with people and it doesn't matter that Jeopardy still comes out every single day. No one's talking about Jeopardy from yesterday to today because it's changing. I mean, it's
Tim and I do.
well, fair,
Yeah.
but you need like
We'll see about how good I am.
yeah. Well, there you go. Well, but you just need those overarching elements. So yeah, it's the last show of its kind in that sense, or the last show that's running right now, and it is a show that's very conducive to that.
And more shows are being made to like they're made to be bingeable now.
Well, it's even just the companies that are making them. I mean,
that's
Netflix
what
is producing more content than anybody.
Netflix and Amazon and Hulu, the shows that they're producing are meant to be watched as a block, almost like to read a novel in a chapter.
Or at least some of
Or a chapter in a novel. Sorry.
they're realistically meant to be that way. I mean, some of them are better at it than others.
Sure, and not but it's like any television show. Not everything is successful. Like, I would have a problem, like, even I've started rewatching Mad Men a little bit. I like to watch an episode or maybe 2 at a time, but Mad Men's not a show you can sit down and watch like 8 of in a row. It's a lot to digest.
Because look, I never watched Mad Men in the original run. I had to rewatch it during the final season, or start watching during the final season, with an initial hope to catch up to be able to watch the final episode live. But I did come to that realization at a certain point where it's just, this is not a show you can sit down and watch 3 consecutive of. I mean, just
It's a bit heavy. Now,
it's heavy stuff.
Now, Breaking Bad worked the other way because by the time seasons 4 and 5, 5 and 6, whatever it went, by the time that got around, people were caught up.
Yeah.
But that is an entirely bingeable show.
Yes.
It's a lot like Lost in that sense, where Lost would have been fun week to week to speculate on what's going on, but it's also highly bingeable because every episode ends on a cliffhanger.
Exactly. I mean, Mad Men
And
was
it's
more
also a
just
show that
we
no
talked
one
about
should
this a
ever
lot, like
watch.
character driven.
You used to love
So-
Lost.
If we could go back in time, I would never watch the first episode. And anyone who watched
stop.
Lost
But
all feel the same.
The
Anyone
ride
who
is the
watched
most
Lost-
fun. I don't care that it ended
Anyone who
poorly.
watched Lost start to finish agrees with me. They would never have started watching if they knew how it was going to end. It was a terrible... The ending is so bad that it ruins the entire series. That's the only position one can take on it.
No, it ruined that. Look, if you watched Lost for 6 years, chances are pretty good that you enjoyed watching Lost for 4.5 of those years.
5 of those years, because seasons 4 and 5 are the best.
That's true. I just more mean the season. Take out half of season 3.
Yeah, and season 6.
Season 6.
Yeah, listen, it did not end great. That's fine. Not every show gets
But it only ruined that.
Not every show gets a 6 feet under type ending. You know what I mean?
But I still enjoyed the heck out of watching the first 5 seasons.
But back to the point on this, and Tim, I want you to weigh here in a second. Like, watching Breaking Bad, again, it was almost a cultural phenomenon by the time it ended, where people were getting together and watch it, and you're wondering, oh, what's going to happen to Walt? What's going to happen to Jesse? But most people watch Breaking Bad catching up on it by binging it. Like, people are watching like 4:30 in the morning. Like, they have the crooked eye going, and they've watched 8 episodes in a row. It was like crack. And Lost could be very much that same way now if you were just to restart Lost, because that's kind of how it works. You're like, unless you know what happens, trying to figure out the mystery and what happens next is the fun of that show. I prefer watching shows week to week, but I understand that binging is just a part of stuff now. So, Tim, what do you think on the matter? I assume you hate binging.
No, well, I'm not a fan of it, but some shows you can't help. I mean, the Netflix shows, whatever, are designed to be binged, and like, other than just choosing not to watch one a week, it's a show that you got to binge. So what can you do about it? I think shows are better consumed week to week and giving themselves sort of time to breathe and separate. I think that's a better way to watch TV. That's why TV is like that to begin with. But for the most part, I mean, it can't be helped. And if you have missed a show, you've got to sometimes binge to catch up. So I actually think the way you guys laid it out is actually pretty reasonable, except for the fact that Lost was terrible and no one should ever watch it.
That aside, I mean, I think it's genre specific too. I mean, I think dramas and thrillers and mysteries really do lend themselves better to week, where we've talked about this before too, just how great a binge show like Arrested Development is, because there are certain things that you pick up on it if you're watching it for the first time. And if you watch it all in 3 days, there's callbacks in the third season that you'll remember from the first season because you just watched it. And there are shows that are written better in that aspect. And the problem with like Netflix and Hulu and Amazon now, and even the thought process that Tim might have or someone might have of, I can control my viewing experience and I can say I'm only going to watch one episode a week and I'm going to digest it and go back and watch another episode the next week. If you want to be part of the conscious conversation, you have to binge it because 2 weeks from now we'll have moved on to another show.
And that's one thing that I don't like about the binge society that we're kind of living in. I like the fact that I have access to everything and I can binge what I want, but if something comes out and I just don't see it on Netflix, or I wait 3 weeks to go watch it, by the time that I watch it, no one cares anymore, and I have no one to talk about it with. They've moved on to the next show. So I just don't watch, like, before, I would just watch everything. Like, if something was, like, somewhat culturally relevant or people's, underground stuff was very good, I would go check that out. Now, there's so much content that you just physically cannot watch everything, but you make hard choices where, like, people said that season 1 of Daredevil was really good.
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen it. Like, wait, what am I going to start Daredevil right now? No. I'm just going to wait for the next thing to come out and just get on board with that.
Yeah.
Which sucks, because I used to love watching these, just these up-and-coming shows, watch a season of it and move on.
Well, I think Daredevil specifically was nice because it was the first. People had been waiting. People are now waiting for any variation of the Marvel sort of brand because now, just through diminishing returns and sort of desensitization.
Well, did you see Logan?
Yeah,
I didn't.
Logan's fantastic.
But Logan that was sort of like the R-rated.
Yeah, it was. Let's make this. We'll take the Daredevil, or the Deadpool model of giving it an R rating, but make it more like serious and really tone it down and strip it away and make it violent. Yeah, which was nice because again, we're so saturated with like superhero stuff now that when we get something that's a little different, it's like, oh, okay, I can enjoy this because it's not exactly the same as everything else. And I think Daredevil was like the first really good Marvel Cinematic Universe like series. So it was like, oh, really ideally how comic books should be portrayed because, those stories are taking place over 300, 400 graphic novels. A television show lends itself a whole lot better to telling those stories than a 2-hour movie would. So I think that was really the luster of Daredevil when it first came out. But yeah, that even specific thing. Since then, we now have Luke Cage. And
why don't they just
another one?
They should just make a Mortal Kombat Johnny Cage spinoff where he just does the splits and punches people.
Someone
in the
tried
nuts.
that. Someone tried to make it's.
What
I
we
think they're
don't
still
have
on
enough
YouTube,
of is,
but someone tried to make like very realistic Mortal Kombat movie type things, and they each had an origin story. There was like 2 seasons of it. Each character had their origin stories about 20 minutes long, and he was trying to sell that to studios to get a movie made in like that vein. It was pretty cool. I think it kind of went off their tracks though. But Johnny Cage had one.
Cool.
He fought.
Baraka?
Yeah, I did fight Baraka. Yeah.
Baraka's tough out.
Yeah.
So what don't we not have enough of, Tim?
Yeah, just derivative superhero movies and just derivative movies on TV on the big screen. That's definitely what we need is more IP just being reheated and reserved to us because that's what I need.
Though.
Was it?
I like the new Spider-Man. Yeah.
I bet it was. I bet it was really good. But at the same point, like it's all part of a problem.
Oh yeah, I mean, and look, I'm one of the bigger proponents of watching these movies, and I probably haven't seen the last 4 superhero movies. I just really like Spider-Man. That's kind of my jam. But yeah, it's for me, and I encounter the same problem as you often, where it's just like I missed it, and then I watch it, and I want to talk about it, and people have already moved on. So it does kind of make you aware that if you really do want to talk to people about it and be part of the conversation, because that really is the fun of it. Like when I went to go watch Game of Thrones at the bar, it was cool. Like I'd never really watched television in a setting that big. And it was fun because
you need the right group and you need people not to talk.
Yeah, and it surprisingly for a bar that was like packed and had people standing in awkward positions, everyone was dead silent. It was really cool. But the hour beforehand when we were getting seats and stuff, everyone just talking about it and giving their theories. It was cool. It was something that's really very unique to now, especially because there's just not a whole lot of it.
What are you saying?
It wasn't a good episode, so like it really wouldn't matter.
Do you like anything?
The episode before it, the end of the last season, was probably the best episode of Game of Thrones.
Have you ever seen
it was amazing.
The first episode of a season that's not the pilot be the best episode of something?
I get you, but there are only 7 episodes, so we need to get the ball rolling a little bit.
The ball was rolling. That was part of the problem with the episode. There was too much. There was a bit too much plot.
You need to see Sam clean out chamber pots for 3 minutes because I could have done without that.
That was like the best part of the episode.
That was unquestionably the worst part of the episode.
that was probably the funniest moment Game of Thrones has ever had.
Do you hate the Fly episode of Breaking Bad?
Pardon me?
So do you hate the Fly episode of Breaking Bad?
I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it either. Like, the best part of the episode this week was Jim Broadbent giving advice to Sam about how things change, nothing actually really changes, because he's right. It's the first person to talk some common sense on the show for quite a while.
Oh, because you're just taking kind of the White Walkers' side. That's why you like that part.
The White Walkers are the only good guys on the show, if insofar as there is any good guys. I can't wait till one of those ice giants picks up Khaleesi and flicks her over the wall. That's what she deserves.
Jesus. Tim just
murdering her child to bring her husband back to life, letting her dragons run wild and burn people to death. She can't be thrown over the wall fast enough.
She's the millennial representation of power in that show.
They're all millennials.
Tim just doesn't want to see a female leader.
That too.
Well,
Blonde female leader? No thanks.
That's why he hates the Hillary Clinton of Westeros, Cersei.
No. If I had to pick, if you took the White Walkers off the table and I had to pick somebody who I wanted to see win, I would be on Team Cersei. Because she embraces
Cersei was using a very encrypted scroll service. Not great.
No. All right, Tim, what's another viewer thing that we didn't get to?
Somebody asked me, because of the Dunkirk ads, they wanted me to give the definitive ranking of all war movies.
All war movies, wow.
All war movies. Because many people are saying Dunkirk is the best war movie to ever be made.
Well, the fact that you haven't seen it yet and you've only read reviews, I assume just by what people are saying that you have that at number one.
No, I don't have it in the rankings because I haven't seen it yet. But I have a definitive ranking, and I actually worked on this one for quite a while.
All right, well,
I'm going to pare it down to like top 5 or what?
Put it this way. I'm just trying to. I'm trying to. Before you've thought about this, I haven't.
Okay.
So Full Metal Jacket.
I'm definitely nah.
I'm just naming war movies.
I'm going to say worst place of war movies of all time is The Deer Hunter. The Deer Hunter is the
I
single
knew you were gonna say
worst movie I've ever seen. Hey, let's spend 45 minutes off the top at this wedding. The only thing you need to do in that movie is just go YouTube DT Mao and you're good to go.
There's so much more going on.
No, there's
anyway.
not. Oh, the strife of the Pennsylvania workers that have to go off to Vietnam. Yeah. Now let's watch them get married for 45 minutes.
Movie.
Oh, my God.
It's an excellent movie.
No, it's not. It's not an excellent movie. It's the most boring movie of all time.
It's going to be number 2 in his rankings.
The tension in that scene under the boardwalk when Robert De Niro puts 3 bullets in that gun. That is one of the tensest moments in cinema history.
Unfortunately, it took me 7.5 hours to get there.
Oh, I'm so sorry that your time is so precious that you can't wait a little bit.
Well, it's just not good. There's no pacing to that movie.
It is a fantastic movie. And
it's just like how people love Step
ranking.
Brothers. Step Brothers isn't a great movie. It has like 5 really awesome scenes.
Okay,
it's a movie of scenes.
I actually agree with that take.
I think it's funny.
I think comedies can get away with that, though, and dramas cannot.
No, and that's the whole thing.
Yeah.
Now, DT Mao is a good thing. Love DT Mao. That's about it.
I know people are very back and forth on Saving Private Ryan.
What's that?
So how are we going to do this? Am I going to give a list? Are you going to give a list? Or am I going to give a list and you're going to critique it?
You give your list.
You give your list. We'll critique it.
Okay. The best war movie ever is Patton. That's one. Then I have Deer Hunter 2.
I was right.
I have Bridge Over River Kwai 3. Saving Private Ryan 4, Hurt Locker, Enemy at the Gates, Inglourious Bastards, Full Metal Jacket, and Black Hawk Down. Those are my top 8 movies.
I think
Nine.
As much as I love Kubrick and I love Kubrick movies, I think the Full Metal Jacket is also incredibly overrated. That's another movie that suffers from it's the opposite of The Deer Hunter, where the first half is really, really good, and then when they actually get to Vietnam, it's not all that great. There is that awesome.
So I think I agree with you there, which is why I have it lower down on the list.
But I mean,
but it's still a great movie.
You've missed the best war movie of all time, which is obviously Tropic Thunder.
Yeah, Tropic Thunder is pretty good.
Okay. It's a fair one.
I mean, from my sensibility, it's hard to argue against Patton. Patton is very good.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I'm out on Deer Hunter. I actually think Dr. Strangelove is the best war movie of all time.
Yeah.
Is a war movie, though?
You can't fight in here, Tim. This is the war room.
That's a fair point. I mean, I guess it's a really good movie. It's an awesome movie, and I'm really good. It's not strong enough. It's an awesome movie. But compare that to the Hurt. I loved the Hurt Locker. I know people were very critical of that movie.
I like the Hurt Locker as well.
I thought that movie was great.
I think that Zero Dark 30 is better than Hurt Locker.
I was gonna say.
I had my problems with Zero Dark 30, which we don't need to get into.
Well, do you know what you need to do then, Tim? You need to go back in the box.
Yeah, I think there's something to be said for
a better movie.
When you're ranking. Are we ranking movies that involve war, or are we ranking war movies?
War movie. Yeah, I mean, I think of them as war movies. So Platoon is on there, or not on there. You could have added Apocalypse Now. You could have added on there, which I didn't.
Yeah,
'Cause I ran out of
why
characters.
didn't you add Apocalypse Now? Like
I
Apocalypse.
think it might have been 10th. I just ran out of characters.
See, I find Apocalypse Now is a much more enjoyable watch, and just a better movie than Deer Hunter is.
Like there's a no, I don't agree. And there are other ones there you could put on, like Glory. Glory's a great movie. You could have had that there. You could have had Hamburger Hill. That's a great movie. You could have had Battle of the Bulge. That's a great movie. Like, you could have had
Battle of the
those-
Bulge is not great.
I like that movie. Okay, maybe you didn't.
Well, you just like war
you could have-
movies.
I actually do really like war movies. Yeah, which
like,
is
if
why
you-
I'm so fired up for Dunkirk.
But like, if you like The Killing, one of Kubrick's first movies, is a better war movie than Full Metal Jacket is. I think, at least.
Okay, I don't know if I've ever seen that movie. To be frank with you.
I'll lend you my Kubrick collection when I get home.
Okay. Can I just have my eyes glued open so I can watch them?
Yes, absolutely. Saving Private Ryan, I guess it has to be up there because it's just so good.
I rewatched it recently.
I don't think I've actually ever watched it twice.
Well, that's the thing, and I think in watching it a second time, I guess I watched it without the sort of overwhelming thought process of, oh, going into it, this is such a good movie, and like everyone says this movie is amazing, and it is really good, but like I don't know if it's an amazing movie. It's
like it's not an enjoyable movie. It's a movie that is
No, it's
awesome
a-
without you're not having fun when you watch it.
no, I mean,
But it's
and
a-
the opening scene is breathtaking.
Yeah, and I know people who were in D-Day, and I talked with them about it in the past, and they said that's what they were at Juno Beach. So that's what storming the beaches was like on that day.
Yeah,
and that
and
really
again,
hit home to me.
amazing scene. I just think it's weird in the sense of, is that the best part of the movie? And
Yes, it is.
there's still another 2.5 hours of movie after that part that never quite reaches that height again.
Sure, but I mean, a movie can only have one great part, right? It's like Gladiator has a great part, and the rest is pretty good.
True.
But a movie can't sustain amazingness for the whole 2 hours.
No, but
It has
it's
to
it's
have
a weird
flow.
model when when you start. It's the Christian Leitner of movies. It starts amazing and then just dips. And not that it ever got bad, but it just keeps getting progressively
Yeah, but
worse.
I would prefer, and this almost comes back to my argument against Deer Hunter, I would prefer a movie start out hot fire and at least grip me for
Yeah,
a bit, then put
fair.
me into a coma where I don't care anymore.
Fair.
Also, the Pianist, a very good war movie. Not necessarily about
Yeah, but see, I
fighting.
decided not to put that in there. Same with like Schindler's List. I thought that's not about the war in particular. It's
You
about
can't
the
stop
Holocaust.
making out when you watch Schindler's List to get enough of the plot, Tim.
Oh, what about MASH?
Yeah.
Okay, you could have added MASH, I suppose. I hadn't thought of it. I suppose that could make the list.
Would you consider Gone with the Wind or Casablanca war movies?
Definitely Gone with the Wind. Maybe Casablanca. I mean, okay, yeah, I guess
I
Casablanca.
mean, really,
is
so
a
many
guess of war.
movies from like 1940 to 1980 have some element of war in them.
I guess so. Oh, do you know what's one of my favorite war movies that just isn't on this list? And maybe it's not the best movie. I love Three Kings.
Oh, yeah.
Three Kings is an awesome movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's a golf war movie,
I haven't watched that in maybe 10 years.
but it's really good.
Yeah.
What about
Yeah, I mean, okay.
Behind Enemy Lines with Owen Wilson and Gene Hackman?
No, see, Enemy at the Gates is much better than that.
I like Enemy at the Gates.
I'll go 12 rounds with anybody who says something bad about that movie. I really like it.
What about 300?
Well,
I technically.
300 is more of an enjoyable movie than anything. Than a good movie. And it fostered a whole wave of that type of movie.
It's true.
Which just wasn't very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very true.
Any
Funny,
mo-
of all these movies, I can't think of a single really amazing World War I movie, which is kind of surprising.
All Quiet on the Western Front?
I guess so, but that was made in 1931. Like, we haven't had a modern good World War I movie like forever.
What about
Seems weird to me.
Das Boot?
I don't know if that's that great.
Das Boot's a really good. You want to talk about you talk about the end of Deer Hunter being intense. That is an intense movie.
I bet that's true.
So I don't know. I think we
But
can.
apparently that's what makes Dunkirk so amazing, is that there's very little dialogue and that it's just intensity for like 90 minutes.
I guess Munich's not really a war movie. It's more of a terrorism
No,
movie.
Munich's not a
Yeah.
Munich's really good though.
Munich is a good
Munich is
movie.
weirdly underrated.
Yeah.
Munich's that movie that, didn't win Best Picture the year it was up, and it was, without question, the best of those movies by so much it's not even close.
What was out that
If you
year?
look back. That was like the year that all the liberal movies that, again, were unwatchable, were like Good Night and Good Luck.
Good Night and Good Luck is an awesome movie.
Is a terribly liberal left-wing movie.
So what? It doesn't make it not a good movie.
It's not that great.
It's really, really good. That also
Again,
didn't
I feel
win.
like most movies are left-wing and liberal.
Is that the year with Capote?
No, Capote, which was again okay, and of course there was Crash and Brokeback
Crash.
Oh,
Mountain.
Brokeback, is that Brokeback and Munich were the same year?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
2005, yeah, and that was your Crash one nonetheless.
Yeah, well, Crash is probably the worst movie of all of those 5.
Yeah, it is.
But Brokeback is definitely the best.
No, it's not close. Munich is significantly better.
No, it's
than
not.
that movie.
Brokeback's one of the most beautiful movies shot of all
It's
time.
not that good.
Yes, it is. It's
again,
real. It's really good. You just don't like it
got
because it
its
has the
popularity
gays.
No, it got its popularity from its politics, and anyone who doesn't agree is not being honest with themselves. You can say it's a good movie.
I would say that
movie,
most people that
but
have
its
your
hype
take on it
came
have
from its
never
politics.
seen it.
I saw it.
And
I
would you
think
not
it's
say it's a
politics.
beautiful movie?
I thought it was okay. It was a perfectly fine movie. Was it the best movie of that year? I think you were straining credulity to make that claim.
I mean, Good Night and Good Luck is probably my favorite movie from that.
That is such a left-wing, essentially anti-communist movie. So it was I just didn't find certainly a movie the left wouldn't make now because all the left does now is hate Russia. So
So what side are you on here, Tim?
Back in 2005, when the left used to pretend Russia was a friend of the United States, I mean, that movie was more popular. It's not a very good movie. It's one of those movies that no one has ever watched again because good movies have come out since, and so why would we watch bad ones?
I would say that of the movies, from the 5 that were nominated for Best Picture that year, I own 2 of them on DVD at the time. I own Capote and I own Good Night and Good Luck.
Capote's a perfectly fine movie, too. I didn't care for it that much, but, it's okay. It was just a bad year for movies.
Well, I'm trying to think of what would have slipped through the radar that year.
Yeah, it's tough. I haven't really even thought about
War
it.
of the Worlds by Steven Spielberg.
Oh, God.
That movie was terrible.
You said, was that 2005 or 2006?
2005 year, 2006 Oscars.
All right, 2006 Oscars, because $1 Million Baby was the one. Oh, Walk the Line came out that year. I like Walk the Line.
That's a very good movie.
But again, I mean, you can kind of argue the same thing, I
But
guess.
it's one of those movies that I've never seen again, so I guess fair enough.
But it's also one of those movies that really exists just based on performances. It's a lot.
Oh, totally.
And
totally.
it's a lot like, I guess, Capote in that way, where it's just one performance. Although the guy that plays the criminal in Capote is very good. What else came out that year? Good Night and Good Luck. Oh, The Constant Gardener came out that year. That might be the best movie from that year.
I don't think so.
Have you ever seen it?
I think Munich is just better.
Munich is just better? I don't know.
I think Munich was a really good movie.
Munich is just a really solid movie. I don't think it's great.
Oh, God, that was the other Peter Jackson's King Kong came out. That was terrible, too.
Really? It came out that year? I still thought Lord of the Rings movies were coming out then.
No, I think the last
No, they had already come out by then.
Oh, you know what did come out that year was History of Violence, which I love.
Yeah, that's a good movie.
That is an excellent movie. Oh, that also had
that's with Viggo Mortensen and Ed Harris, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Eastern Promises came out the next year, which is also a movie I really enjoy. The Awful Syriana came out that year.
That year, considering, though, is a terrible year for movies.
Didn't that do really well at the Oscars?
Yeah, George Clooney won Best Supporting Actor for it. It was a very bad movie. It was almost as bad as Tim's favorite movie, Babel.
Babel's a really good movie.
No, it's not. No, Babel's a terrible movie.
I know you think that, but Babel...
I would say that I'm kind of on the winning side of this one, Tim. I feel like most people agree with me about that movie.
Well, that's just because you don't appreciate the magical way that Alejandro González Iñárritu makes movies.
Okay, so if we're going to talk about that, if we're going to talk about the magical way and the look and the feel that movie gives you, there is no reason that you shouldn't like Brokeback Mountain, because Ang Lee does the exact same thing in that
I never
movie.
said I didn't like it. I just said I didn't think it was the best movie.
You're
pretty dismissive of it.
You said that the only reason that people say they like it is because they don't want to be un-PC.
Most of its hype came from that. That cannot be denied.
I think it can be.
If you don't think that politics wasn't coursing through that decision...
Sure, but that is irrelevant to whether the movie is good or not.
It's a good movie, which gets more praise than it should because of its political stance.
I would say that it lost out on being a bigger deal because of its politics. It didn't win at the Oscars because of that. And it gave it to one of the worst movies to ever win Best Picture in Crash.
Yeah, well, Crash is terrible. You're not going to get me to defend Crash.
I don't know. It sounds like a movie right up your alley.
No, I decided to see it when I was in university. I was forced to watch it in a Soch class. Of course, Soch, right? And it just was no good.
All right, well, I want to do an ANDERCURSED update here.
Not a thing.
Well, I don't know about that. So you had a really big problem with those automated machines and like Coke machines and how it just gave people too many choices. And
Are we going to talk about Subway? Because this is on my list.
And that's what we're talking about. And
Good,
then you go on about how Subway clearly has better sandwiches than any other restaurant on earth somehow. But now, ever since you've really talked up Subway, they're reinventing themselves because you like them too much. People know to not like what you like. Now they have automated machines where you can punch in your order.
Which makes no sense when you think about it. Of all the places where an automated machine makes sense, Subway's the least of which, because it doesn't cut down the labor. Someone still has to physically go and make the sub with your request just the way you want it, which is what they do already without the machines. I haven't the foggiest idea how these automated machines make anything faster, anything more efficient. Maybe it pleases some millennials who can't get away from a screen for longer than 10 seconds. They feel like if they're not on a screen, they're somehow not plugged into things. They've got to push all these buttons to make their sub. If anything, it's probably easier just to tell the sandwich artist, I want this, and this, and not this, and this. I can't imagine.
I would honestly believe
who in their right mind would want to use one of those machines at Subway.
I think it makes more sense because, I mean, it's like the automated machines at McDonald's. You can go up to the counter.
No,
and
but it's not the same. It's not the same thing.
Why not?
Because the person who's making your hamburger is not the person taking your order.
Well,
Whereas Subway, we're one and the same.
Yeah, but this is just speeding up the process. Now you don't have to sit there and
It's
tell
not
them.
speeding up the process.
Yes, it does, because then they get all the
nothing.
orders. So if you're sitting there waiting in line, so they don't do that thing of like, what's your order, sir? What kind of bread would you like? Oh, I now have to go get the bread and cut it and put the cheese
They
on.
still have to go get the bread and cut it by looking
but at least they know what they have to do the entire time. They don't need to sit there,
There's
take the sub, go over to the veggie part, come back, serve the next person, get it started, put it in the toaster oven, go back. Now they just know what to fucking do.
There is nothing faster about that. What are you talking about?
It might not even be about the speed, though, Tim. I mean, it might just be
convenient.
Subway realizes there's an aversion in this culture for some people of human contact. I mean, some people just
Well, they can
prefer
stay
to not
home.
have to go to a cashier
They
and be
can
like, I
stay
want this,
home.
this, and
I've
this.
got no sympathy for that.
It doesn't matter if you do. It
There-
matters if a company realizes that's a
There's
thing
no
and they
money
want
in
to
it. It is
exploit
just-
it.
It is just needlessly obfuscatory to make themselves look modern and look cool, when actually, if anything, it's adding to labor costs. It's not detracting. It is adding to time. It's easier for you just to tell the
It's
person
adding
what
to
you
time.
want.
How does it
rather
add?
than
How does it
going-
add to time?
That's like you
You
can
go
order a
into there, you
sandwich
have to
anywhere.
then-
If I can order a sandwich
you go in
online,
there.
it can be done on a machine.
Oh, you know what's really devastating for my diet? McDonald's being on Uber Eats now.
Yeah, that hurts.
Now I can just get it delivered to my door in 8
I
minutes.
don't know what that even means.
What do you mean you don't know what that means?
I don't know what Uber Eats means.
It's a car
can-
that brings you food.
Can you figure it out?
No, well, I suppose I've just been told it's a car that brings you food. I prefer to go out and get my stuff anyway,
Why?
because I prefer to do it myself. That's why.
Self-made
Have
man.
someone else do it for me.
Oh, so you don't
independent like
like
that?
relying on people, yet you are a man of the people?
I don't need to rely on them. I have respect for their time that I can do it myself.
It's their job.
Yeah,
back to
now
the
you're
Subway
taking
point.
more money
Yeah,
out of the mouths of people.
Yeah, you don't want NBA teams
not.
making money. You don't want people to have jobs. Like, what's going on with you?
If anything, this Subway stuff is creating. Listen, my point, which you've glossed over, but I'm fundamentally correct.
You're not.
That it takes
You're wrong.
more time for you to go into the Subway, go to the terminal, type in, and figure out your machine, and figure out what you want. And once you've done that, push enter for then the person then to get your order and then read it and make it. It's far easier for you to just go to the counter and say, I want this, 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 and this.
You
There's
understand
no
that there's a
question.
lot of people that just stand at the counter and be like, well, I don't know what I want. And then they're just standing there for like 45 seconds. This way,
don't
they have
think
the
that-
exact order in their hand. They can just go make it and give it to you. It really speeds up the process.
It's so dumb, and it's like Subway's intentionally trying to prevent me from going there.
Well, maybe
Yeah,
they
it's
don't want to
like-
be associated with your brand.
I don't have a brand. I just
No,
let
your
people
brand
know
is
they've got-
CUST.
They just have They have the best sandwiches in the world. Like you can't do better. You can try. You
so
can do as good.
ridiculous. This take that like these chain restaurants are the best place to get something. Like you had a list about a week ago, your definitive top 6 for some reason pizza places, and it was
I
Domino's,
was out of
Pizza Hut,
characters.
Sparrow's, Pizza, Papa John's, and something called California Pizza Kitchen, which there are none of in Canada. So I have no idea how the hell you have access to this kind of stuff.
Well,
But-
I've been to the States more than once in my life, sir.
Fair, regardless. Pizza is
It's great.
It's the cardboard of
it's
pizza.
literal cardboard.
you are
If you,
exaggerating.
It's so bad.
the only way to
It's
eat pizza
really good.
is to go to a pizza, and that only makes it passable pizza. And then you had this
it's
whole
far
spiel
better than
about how you can't go to mom and pop pizza places because you don't like weird stuff and you don't like artisanal pizzas. You can get a fucking pepperoni slice from a mom and pop place and it tastes good.
Yeah, no, but pepperoni isn't anything you can have on pizza because Tim did his definitive power rankings of pizza toppings and fucking pineapple was at number 1. You've lost your fucking mind.
No, pineapple is the best. Why? Because it's sweet and it counterbalances the saltiness of the pizza. And when you
Just
cook it in
eat
the oven,
pineapple!
it's warm perfectly.
Like a sane
It's delicious.
person.
It's delicious. Pineapple is the best.
Get
What are
it
you talking
off.
about?
You know what, Mr. Millennial? Get it off my fucking pizza.
There's nothing millennial about pineapple. Those kids are eating silver beet and, roast
Again,
pumpkin.
No one does that.
You're your cartoon character, which you have drawn of a millennial. Maybe they do that in the graphic novels that you compose in your free time. Real life doesn't happen.
Are we like 15 minutes in or something?
Yeah, we are actually.
It feels like that. Listen, I love pepperoni, but it's not the best. The best is pineapple, and all pineapple pizza is like the perfect balance, sweet and salty, and it's just great.
Do you
and
like anchovies?
I actually don't mind them. I don't love them. I don't mind them. The thing about mom and pop stores are fine. Like, they don't make bad pizza. Do not get me wrong. Their pizza is perfectly fine, but chains are tested and the flavors are balanced and the cleanliness standards are through the roof, and if they weren't good, they wouldn't be all over the place. The reason Pizza Hut is all over the world and Domino's is all over the world and Pizzas across Canada,
Domino's
they make great
literally
pizza.
had to reestablish their brand because
they
everyone worldwide realized that Domino's was horseshit.
You are correct.
Maybe it's okay
and
now.
It is amazing. Now it's amazing.
But pizza
Again,
is
it's the best.
horrible. There's only one time you can eat pizza. Drunk, 3 o'clock in the morning. It's the only thing left
No,
open.
it's far
That's
better
it.
than you think it is.
No, it's not.
Very good.
Wait, do
They
you even
make
have
this
pizzas where you live?
Yes, they do. There's one right up on. I'm not going to name the name of the streets because no one knows where these places are. But they make this meatball pizza. It is so good. It's quite tremendous. Plus, they have great buffalo wings at Pizza. It's an undervalued thing. They make great buffalo wings too. Pizza is a great establishment. It really is. They do pizza right.
This particular list though made me realize something that I've been missing for a little while, and it's not
it-
like
it-
it's a direct comparison. But remember, I think it was like the 3rd or 4th season of The Office, and Michael goes to New York, and he's looking at the camera and goes, "Oh, I know this great place, and it's my favorite place to get pizza in New York." Then it pans out to reveal it's just fucking Sparrow's. And that was a like, ha! What an amazing joke that is. That joke is your life, Tim.
Whatever, Sparrows is awesome.
Sparrows,
They have a double
ever since you put your endorsement behind Sparrows, they declared bankruptcy.
I don't understand that because they have this double stuffed pizza, which is so good. Like I said on Twitter, it's basically you're walking through the streets of Italy. You're basically in Florence or in Turin. It's that good. It's that rustic.
I'm going to Italy in
it's
3 months.
sausage.
I'll look for a Sparrow's.
Yeah, you asked Massimo how much he likes Sparrows.
Sparrows is amazing. Again, maybe it's not the best. It's not the best pizza in the world. It's not dumb.
Well, clearly, Domino's and
But,
Pizza Hut are better.
Yeah, it's the 3rd best
But,
pizza in the world.
Pizza Hut is amazing.
I like Pizza Hut, but oh god.
Meanie, get
But
in
what?
here. Clear this up for us. You can be the third nail in the coffin here. Here is Tim's rankings of the best pizza in the world. Any place you could go to, these are the best pizzas.
Pizza Hut's too greasy.
You say it into the mic.
Pizza Hut's a little too greasy. What is this?
Sparrows.
Never had it. I don't know. Domino's is pretty good. I'm not a big pizza guy.
No, I don't think anyone is.
I don't think like Papa John's. I'll say what I say about Papa John's from the East Coast, and there's no garlic fingers around here. It's the closest I've ever found to like garlic fingers. I like the
There
cheesy-
aren't garlic
cheesy
fingers away
breads
from the
out
East
here.
Coast.
Okay, well, let me ask you this then. Do you think that these places are better than, let's say, maybe somewhere where you grew up that is not a chain, is just a pizza place that makes awesome pizza?
No.
It's better than King of Donair.
You think it's better than King of Donair? It's not.
Yeah,
No, King of Donair is awesome. I think.
they have good Donairs.
No, they make better pizza than they make Donair. You've lost it. Thanks, Meanie.
Slices too. Huge slices for like $4.
Yeah, good,
Yeah.
great bang
That's
for
why
your
you gotta
buck at
find
these
a
other
place
places.
that's like in a plaza somewhere. Plaza Pizza's the best.
Well, what case? Well, let me ask you this, Tim. What if there was a non-chain pizza place, but it was in a food court? What would happen then?
I'd try it. Because as I've said before, the best food you'll get in the country is in a food court. So if it's in a food court, it's going to be good.
Maybe
Again,
Tim is
why?
just
Because and here's one of the reasons is because food courts, restaurants pay incredibly high fees to be in that mall. So if they weren't making lots of money from lots of turnover and customers, they wouldn't be able to stay there. So you can be sure if it's in a food court, it's good quality eats.
No, you see, you understand part of the high price of paying to be in a food court to make the money is the fact that you're in the food court and people walk by it and go buy it. It's all about the location. One of the reasons that Pizza continues to do well, in Canada at least, because it has like 5,000 locations. Doesn't make it the best pizza.
I think you've got the effect mistaken for the cause.
No.
It has 5,000 locations because it is good pizza.
No, it's not good pizza. It's cheap pizza that you can very clearly tell it's cheaply made pizza.
I mean, there's no more obvious example of this sort of thing than my mom grew up in California when McDonald's was only a thing in California. And she says it was much better when it was just like a couple restaurants in Southern California, because obviously the quality is going to dip when you have a gajillion locations worldwide.
Unless your pizza has ricotta cheese and it's fire roasted with pumpkin and squash.
No one eats that kind of pizza.
Have you ever seen people eat this kind of pizza? Ever? In your entire life? No, you haven't. That is a fucking lie.
I've watched it on MasterChef before, and...
You're watching MasterChef. That is the 1% of the 1%. I mean, even if you go to a fucking Boston Pizza, sure, there's going to be options on there to have, like, spinach and shit on your pizza, but rarely do you get that. You get the meat lovers that they have on the thing, too.
Yeah, Boston Pizza's got good pizza, too, I will say.
Whatever.
I mean, I'm down with Martha's Pizza. Martha's Pizza is still the best pizza I've ever had in my life.
We're closed.
Yeah, they would close at 1 a.m., though. That would suck.
Yeah. I know, we had a place by my high school, Real McCoy. Huge slices, great. Better than pizza. If I had my choice, I would take, like, again, you find these places that are just better because they have to be or they would die. Like, there's something to be said, Tim, about making pizza with your back against the wall.
Whatever. I'll take the chains all day long. Thank you kindly.
Okay. Other rankings that you had recently where you ranked Matchbox 20 inside the top 5 bands of all time. A take that made, like, the nicest guy at the office the most upset I've ever seen him. He was legitimately upset about it.
Who was that?
Andrew Reed.
I don't know if I know him.
Well, he hates you.
He hates you, yeah.
All right, well, again, I feed off people's hate, so that doesn't bother me.
You're like the dark side?
Can you just explain that? Because that is ludicrous.
The dark side is the good side, so I'm not too worried about that.
Answer the question.
What question? I'm sure. Sorry.
Why Matchbox 20, a mediocre at best band inside the best 5 of all time? Then you responded that Queen is very underrated, yet you didn't have them inside your top 5. And
because I don't think most people would even think of them in their top 20. Particularly kids these days, they don't know anything about Queen.
So what do you think that they have? I mean, I haven't listened to music in ages, but like the Backstreet Boys, would that be in their top 5?
No, but they probably have, nothing but rappers and pop singers like Taylor Swift and those people.
Well, that's a different debate, though. You said best bands of all time. I mean, those would be musicians, technically, I guess. But
artists. Best artists.
There we go. But I think best band is a completely different thing. Although there's not that many bands anymore, to be perfectly honest.
But now, to be fair, I was making the ranking as to what the bands I enjoy most. Now, I'm not going to deny that, objectively speaking, Matchbox 20 is not in the top 5.
It just seemed like you were making the list from the perspective of someone who was obviously going after the most historically relevant bands, and then Matchbox 20.
Well, those are the 4 I enjoy most, and then Matchbox. I don't know, maybe the Who could have been in there, or Led Zeppelin, or not Pink Floyd anymore. I've got a problem with that. That's the way Roger Waters has been shooting off his mouth and saying anti-Semitic things recently. But there are various bands that I would put in there. But I love Matchbox 20. I think
it was just the contrast of the list for me.
Also, hot take: Rolling Stones are better than the Beatles.
No, they're not.
The Beatles are too soft.
Some of the Rolling Stones' best albums are just copies of the Beatles.
Yeah, and they did it better, like you always say, Tim. Great writers, just steal and make it better.
I don't think they are better. Listen, the Rolling Stones are amazing, but even the Stones would tell you that the Beatles are the best band.
Yeah, that's just them being modest, and as we said about you, you love modesty. Beatles just overrated. I don't like John Lennon.
Yeah, thinks he's bigger than God.
Yeah, I think he's just a real big deal. Fuck off, pal.
John Lennon is probably the most important musician of the 20th century, so yeah, I disagree with you there.
I would say that if he hadn't have died, that probably wouldn't be the case.
Even if he hadn't, maybe that's true, but he would have been one of the most influential. He was one of the most influential the day before he died in the 20th century. So, he and McCartney are 2 of the most consequential people they're up there with Mozart and Beethoven in terms of people who've changed the history of music.
I think it's a
very few
genre
people can
by
make that
genre,
claim.
like or era by era thing. Like I look at ranking the best bands of all time or musicians of all time. I think it's a lot like the Baseball Hall of Fame. Like you can't just say this person was the greatest musician of all time because music is a constantly changing
Who had
and
McCartney
evolutionary
recently in a
thing.
music video?
What's
And
that?
No one knew that. Who recently was it? Kanye West, who recently had McCartney in one of his music videos, and no one, all these young millennials had no idea who that was.
Yeah, McCartney he did something with Kanye recently.
Did you just call
I
him
was so
Cagney?
curious.
Yeah, he did.
Like Cagney and
Con-
Lacey? Cagney West?
Kanye West, sorry, Kanye West. Sorry, whatever.
Like,
Matchbox 20 is amazing. So that Reed guy can be as upset as he wants. He knows the truth. He knows that songs like 3 a.m. or Unwell are just some of the best.
Those are the
pen to
same.
paper
You
songs that
keep
ever been
listing
written.
the same two songs, which were their two biggest definitive hits.
Is there a third song?
Yeah, isn't there like some sort of B-side thing that you like to make you love Matchbox 20 so much?
I'm trying to think of a single song of theirs that I don't like. Like the whole "Yourself" or "Someone Like You" album is great. "Real World," everyone knows the "Real World."
Oh, yeah, everyone. Everyone
Yeah,
just
it's a
line-
banger.
lining up to buy the tickets on everyone's playlist.
That was a huge hit. Like that was like a top 5 hit.
A top 5 hit. Wow.
Well, they never reached the same precipice as Santana featuring Rob Thomas.
Yeah, all right.
They didn't. That was a jam.
I will-
Smooth was a jam.
Yeah.
Yeah, Smooth was a jam.
And Smooth still gets played to this day.
Yes, it does. If
Sometimes
You're
I do
Gone
hear
is
3
a great
a.m.
song by them. "Last Beautiful Girl." They had lots of great songs. And I love them. I'm sorry, I do.
It'd be
I'm
like
not gonna
someone's favorite band being
apologize.
Alien Ant Farm or something stupid
Yeah,
like
like
that.
if you're just gonna pick like random '90s bands to throw on that list, like Smashing Pumpkins, Foo Fighters, you can throw Offspring on that. Fuck, you can put Everclear on that list. They have like 3 songs.
But I'm naming the band that I like, and that's what I like.
And we all know who the greatest band of all time is, actually. There it is right there.
Oh, okay. Eddie Murphy.
Yeah, Eddie Murphy with Rick James. Party all the time. Greatest band in the world. No, the Beastie Boys are the best.
I really do like
They're
Beastie Boys.
good. They're not the best.
Oh, they are the
by
best,
any-
Tim. I'm sorry to tell you. That's definitive.
That's not the.
I just did.
They're the
someone who
Dark Knight
actually-
fans.
I put a poll out into the field. It has just come back. 100% of people in the poll agree Beastie Boys best band ever.
Again, as someone who actually makes definitive ranks, I would say that you're wrong.
I don't want to pull a rank on you, but as someone who gets
Yeah,
paid
but
to be a
it's sort of
professional
my
ranker,
thing. Yeah, it's sort of my thing, and you're wrong.
I'm surprised you didn't have the E Street Band on there with how much you love one-hit wonder Bruce Springsteen.
Well, again,
he has
you're
one
gonna sound
song,
like a crazy
Born in the USA. That's
Yeah,
it.
you're going to
all
sound
the
like a
other songs
crazy
are just
person.
born in the USA.
Yeah. Butts and I have told Tim that for like the past 8 years, and he gets so mad every single
Well,
time.
because it isn't true.
Oh, yes,
There's all
only
kinds of
true.
great
One
songs.
song, Born in the USA. Born in the USA, Tim. We saw him in concert. He played the same song 35 times.
Again, that is such an abject lie. That I'm glad that you're telling this, because when the people ask who's got more credibility, me or you, this will pretty much firmly put me in. I mean, Gary's already gone after making fun. Between you and me.
I was cutting that out.
Why'd you call that back?
Oh, right. I forgot about that. I'm sure
And also,
it's
I
fine.
didn't,
Cut
I
that
didn't
out.
make fun of it. I said that you made fun of it.
God.
Just stop talking about it. I got to cut all this out.
Yeah.
All right.
I never cut anything out.
It's true.
That is a cutout worthy thing.
I'm honored in a way.
That you really breached the threshold?
Yeah.
Yeah. Any final debates we need to have here, Tim, on stuff that you have brought up?
Yeah, like I said, there's this new food guide coming out from Canada's replacing its food guide.
Okay.
It is, they're still in the draft stage, but they're putting out the releases of what it's going to be about. It is going to be an unmitigated disaster of proportions. First, because it's going to be shot through with politics to begin with. Half the thing is going to be about how you can tailor your meals to save the planet and to help reduce food waste and food production and distribution and try to limit your greenhouse gas consumption. What that has to do with nutrition I have no idea. But, of course, you have to infuse these things. Another one is trying to encourage people to cook at home. Again, as if that has anything to do with nutrition. It He's just trying to take shots at hardworking restaurants that are trying to feed people.
But
when was the last time you even saw a food guide? It's not as if this is some sort of mandatory regulation about what you can eat.
Also, you were just ragging on people who deliver food earlier that you wanted to put them out of work. So what do you care?
Nothing wrong with getting it. Nothing wrong. That's not the job of the food guide to be telling you that.
Also,
again, since I was unless I needed something to color in during health class in the 2nd grade, when has the food guide ever played a part in my life?
Also,
well, it's gonna.
But before you get to that,
discourage people from eating meat.
Well, I'm against that. That seems ridiculous.
But you'd have to actually be aware of the food guide for it to dictate any of your decision-making process, and I have not seen a food guide. Are they still triangles? I hope so.
No, it's been the rainbow for forever.
Oh, yeah, it was a rainbow.
For like 25 years, it's been that
What
rainbow.
about your window to success?
They're trying to encourage people to eat high-protein vegetables instead of meat, to try to encourage more meatless meals, encouraging families to eat together, which, again, a perfectly good thing for families to eat together. That has nothing to do with nutrition. Get this off of my nutrition guide. Also trying to
Is this framed in your kitchen? Like, why do you
encourage more culturally sensitive approaches to dietary concerns, meaning a significant reduction of any of the role that dairy plays. Again, maybe that's a very valuable thing. These are not things that the Canada Food Guide should be dealing with. Just tell people what are the daily recommended amounts of the 4 major food groups and be done with it.
Well, they told you at restaurants what the daily recommended count for calorie counts were to keep you like as a sustainable, healthy individual, and then you freaked out about that.
Yeah, well, and those are going away.
Are they going away? Because I see them
Well,
more
they
and
are.
more and
I
more
still see
places.
Well, they are in the States because President Trump rescinded that requirement.
Okay. We're not going anywhere in Canada, but again, it's not as if just because they list the caloric content of a food group, it's not like the waitress is sitting there with a calculator about to cut you off. You still get to order whatever the hell you want.
Sir, you've had too much. You have to leave.
What I'm mostly annoyed about is the environmental stuff and the eating together stuff and the discouraging people from eating out stuff. That has nothing to do with a food guide or nutrition. That's not
in terms of nutrition, cooking at home is better than going out and eating. It just is.
I think that's right, but that has no bearing on the nutritional values of foods. That doesn't belong here. That is a secondary question. Get these political questions out of my food guide. But the government should be doing these things. Get out of my life and let me do whatever I want, for God's sake.
But again, you're just looking for things to complain about because it
has no effect on you.
Yeah, it's almost as if someone got mad at you for making a stupid list, even though it has no impact on their lives. Or it's the equivalent to you making a list and assuming it impacts people's lives, even though they've never seen of it or heard of you in their entire life.
Tim, your argument
is impact my life.
You said, let me do what I want. Leave me alone. Let me make my own decisions. NBA teams are making the decision to put corporate logos on their jerseys, and you can't handle that.
No,
so what do you want? To live in a cabin by yourself with no electricity and a shitting pot outside that you can dump out like you're on Game of Thrones?
You really tied everything together quite nicely there, didn't you?
That is why I'm a professional.
What can I tell you? You're good. My point is get the politics out of this stuff.
You know what I can tell you? That's the end of CUST Corner!
CUST Corner, it's CUST Corner. CUST Corner, it's CUST Corner. He's got the hottest takes with the highest stakes. He should be president of the United States, but it's CUST Corner, it's CUST Corner. CUST Corner, hee 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 hee.
Again, people have been calling it many different things.
I don't think they have.
One guy tried to... Tim was...
Yeah, I know.
What did he call it?
He said, when's the next Tomcat Corner?
Tomcat Corner.
Tomcat.
Yeah.
I liked it. We should call it Tomcat Corner, huh? That's what everyone calls you, Tomcat.
No, most people call me Topcat.
No one does.
Yeah, does anyone actually call him Topcat?
No. He calls himself Topcat. That's it.
I know his dad calls him T-Biscuit.
Yeah, T-Biscuit. That's a much... T-Biscuit Corner could work.
No, pass.
Or no, maybe when we market this to a British audience, we'll repurpose it as T-Biscuit Corner.
Well, I think they're called scones in Britain anyway. I don't think they call
or
them
Tea Time Corner.
Well, my friend Tim Butts, our friend Tim Butts at Hi I'm Butts on Twitter, also released a power ranking, the power rankings of the most legitimate Tim Andercust Twitter accounts.
Butts does have the best sort of rationale as to how to deal with Tim on Twitter, which is when you're tired of Tim sending stupid lists of things, send lists back at him which are equally stupid, which will just make him angry. Like definitive lists of best provinces in Canada, or definitive lists of best politicians in Canada.
Butts is so much better at Twitter than I am. I'm very jealous.
But you said you bring the funny on the Twitter.coms.
Well, I do, and I think that's pretty. I mean, I've been getting responses from people, both tweets and direct messages from people, just saying, "You're great. This is the funniest thing ever. You're amazing."
I've got people
awesome.
coming to me saying that your ideas, great ideas,
It's
the best ideas.
It's just like when you tried to claim that you weren't cussed because people come up to you on trains and tell you, you know what, you're not cussed, sir.
That happens all the time.
You're fucking delusional.
I was telling people today that Shot Tracer is awful, and people were very positively disposed to that claim.
Oh, yeah, they really reacted well to that, didn't they?
Yeah, some people did.
No one did. Not even one. You don't count as a part of the discussion if you bring up the topic and no one agrees with you.
People agree.
No, they do not. Garion Thorne, thank you for being here.
No problem.
Where can people follow you on Twitter?
At Garion Thorne.
Do you know where they can follow Tim?
I do.
At Tim Andercust!
Tim Andercust.
Again, if you want to be amused, you want to guffaw, laugh at the humdingers that I'm throwing out there, you should follow me.
The Twitter account that you just said came last in the Tim Andercust Twitter account power rankings.
Which I hear definitive rankings.
Those were definitive rankings, Tim.
Yeah, I know what fiend has been doing those things.
How much do you think your Twittering game has improved since you've discovered this GIF function? Are you going to start using emojis now, too?
I use emojis.
He did
occasionally.
yesterday. Someone told him to get woke, and he gave him the angry emoji.
That's true. I did.
Yeah, that's something we need to check in with at the end of every CUST Corner. Have you got woke yet, or are you on the steps to getting woke?
I have just taken an entire bottle of melatonin.